If you click the link at the top, you're going to see us on YouTube now. Welcome to the 8 a.m. Cup of Motivation. When you come through here, guys, you're going to get the education. Mute yourself, Mary Kim. You're going to get the education, the motivation, and everything to make all your dreams and goals come true. We have a new section today, guys, and this is edutainment. And Ashley is pretty amazing, guys. There was a video, YouTube short I was trying to get together, but I wasn't able to get it. Ashley, are you ready to give us all the juicy edutainment?
Of course. The juicy.
All right, Mama, hit it.
All right, today is brought to you by Carmela. Never be late for class. Never forget your heavy weight. But if you go to Instagram, post a link in Clubhouse. That's how my muscles. They were cussing me.
It's looking like Ashley is having technical difficulties over here. We heard you, Ashley. So, guys,
I didn't hear her, though.
I know, I didn't hear her either, but it's pretty funny. We're going to post it on our Instagram page, but she's saying when you take class with Carmel, you have to make sure you come prepared with your heavy weights. You have to make sure you're not late. You have to make sure you're on time. And she had this video. Oh my gosh, it is so funny. It's this lady who's been out of the gym for like 2 weeks, and she comes back and they're screaming at her. And they're like, do you really think you're going to get muscles? Do you really think you're going to get muscles? It is so funny. But it looks like it's just going to be me on YouTube today, which is okay because we can hear everyone loud and clear. Ashley, are you there, Mama? On mic, talk to me.
I am here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Go for it. Edutainment.
All right. So today's edutainment, and I'm going to, as soon as I get modded up, I'm going to post a link. But yeah, it's a lady. She's in her tracksuit. She's like, her muscles are screaming at her, just literally screaming at her, telling some, this is what happens when you take 2+ weeks of training. And I got the idea when I was late for Carmela's class, and she made me work out even extra harder because I was late and I had to cut the training out. And this was brought to you by this segment is brought to you by the OWL app, where you can take one-on-one calls with your clients and also get paid for it. If you want more information, thank you. If you want more information about it, hit me up in the back channel, and I will also post my referral code in the chat.
Love it. Now, you mentioned it really quick, Mamacita. As she said, this segment is brought to you by the OWL app. When I think of OWL, I think of, ooh, like what is the purpose of an owl? They're cute. Can you share with us what the OWL app actually is and what it does and how someone can benefit from it? That would be a question for you, Ashley.
I know. I'm sorry. I got lost in my phone. That's what happened. So the OWL app is basically, what you do is you log into the app, you take one-on-one calls from your client, and they're timed. They're like 10 minutes. And you can charge for that 10 minutes. So right now I'm priced at $3. So to talk to me, it costs $3 to talk to me for 10 minutes. And we can talk about my business. We can talk about your business. We can collaborate. It's an easy way to make what I like to call gas money. Gas money.
Is it really gas money? Because gas is really expensive, Mama. Is it really gas money?
Yeah, I mean, gas is what, $7 almost everywhere?
I don't think it's $7, but
you just charge $7, and that's your gas money, okay? That's your gas money. But yeah, you can take one-on-one calls. So say like, for a good example is, I want to say, Tina, I want to call Tina on the OWL app, and I'm like, okay, Tina, I'm about to charge, you're going to charge me $1 to talk to me for 10 minutes because I'm broke. I need some gas money. And I like, Tina, all right, I'm not understanding a certain pose in yoga right now. Can you help me? And, we're just talking like this, another audio app, but it's more one-on-one services. I am actually paying for your time, and again, it's just another quick way to make gas money. So I'm actually a brand ambassador of it. So there's 2 ways you can make money. There's one by taking calls, or if you're a blogger, you can also start blogging about the OWL app. And if you got more questions, download the OWL app. I'm going to post my link and stuff in the chat and give me a call. For today only, I want to bring the price down to $1 so I can take more calls.
Ooh, we got to mention this again on our breaks. Alrighty, guys. So as we get started in our section, it looks like Mary Kim is live. Woo! And we're a little tiny today, but we are mighty. And I find when spaces of personal training, of classes are a little smaller, they're a little more intentional. I know yesterday when I taught class, it felt so good. I did a spin class and there was it was a tiny crew in there. And a tiny crew for some people can be one, a tiny crew can be 40 or 50. And I always say, it's what are your intentions? And I love Mary Kim, one, because she's always prepared. She definitely cares about what she has to do. So with that being said, we are here. We're going to get started on our topic of the day. We're all sharing. Mary Kim, are you ready to rock and roll, mama? I should probably unmute her so we can hear her. Looks like her internet's a little wonky.
Oh, should I unmic on Clubhouse?
No, on the computer so they can hear you on YouTube.
Wonky. I blocked the sun because I couldn't even see the screen.
Can you unblock yourself on YouTube so they can hear you on YouTube? Because they wouldn't. Or I could actually, you know what? Stay right here.
Unmic. I don't know what's going on.
I may unmute mic. This is just all the rules. But you know what? You're fine. You can start. I hear you here. You're good. So guys, as we get started, I just want to do a quick intro. We have Mary Kim coming through. Mary Kim is a beautiful human. I got to see her again for the second time a couple weeks ago. We were in Florida at an event for the Mom Link. And she's just an amazing human all around. She's like one of those superhumans. Like, is she a real person or is she a robot? I kind of wonder that sometimes because, you know, robots don't sleep. You guys remember that TV show back in the day with the little girl? She was a robot and she didn't sleep because Mary Kim doesn't sleep too much. What was it called?
Small Wonder.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, Small Wonder. So that's Mary Kim.
Small Wonder.
Unlike guests because they chose to mute themselves. Yeah, you have to unmute yourself, Mary Kim, and then you can come through. But anyway, that's Mary Kim. She's our small wonder. And we're going to get started on today's topic. So without further ado, give it up for Mary Kim.
Without further ado, Mary Kim.
Thank you. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. Is that better? On the Clubhouse. Okay. Thank you. I'm excited. You know, I talk about mental health. Yes, Mental Health Awareness Day for 2022. And it's going to be important because, you know, our health and a little nugget that stats.
You know, the stats are, you know, a lot of us, you know, mental health is still a huge stigma in our society, even though we talk about it, people talk about it more than before. One of my friends, LP, says it's the biggest pandemic of our lifetime because it is so stigmatized. The largest community that is affected or has the most, the highest percentage globally is the LGBTQ family at 41.4% annually. With that also, just some other stats. So if you're listening and, you know, you're not mentally well, you are not alone. I think that's a lot of the stigmas. Even, you know, and I have a personal relationship. My brother was diagnosed in his 20s, early 20s.
I've been his person from day one because literally my parents, after one hospital visit, just kind of dumped him literally at my doorstep and said, he's your brother, you have to take care of him. And along that journey, you know, a lot of people with mental health do not have the capacity to understand their illness in full effect, to understand the medication that is needed, the team that they can have to help them along their journey. And so many fall into the system, let's say, of self-medication. And with self-medication, their vice can be drugs or alcohol, are the top ones. And then they get lost in that system, meaning like my brother got lost in the drug world because, you know, he self-medicated. And with that, he was in and out of jail. He had a team at that time, but because he was over 18, there was no rights. Like, we had no right as his caretakers or his team to force him to stay in a hospital to get treatment, to get stabilized, to require him to take his medication. It took a few years for us to implement that. He had that for a while, but because he was also self-medicating, it didn't really do him the best. Like, he was a little bit stable, but it was still really unstable. Thankfully, and with that, he's been on the street, decided to be homeless, versus getting into a system where they can help him on his journey. He felt safer living on the streets of New York City for 7 years. That was a safe space for him. And by the grace of God and, you know, building a new team, he finally accepted, is it a year and a half ago, to get shelter help. And with that team working with him, and, you know, it's so... what I've learned from working with these different teams through all these years is there are so many people who are diagnosed with mental illness or unhealthy mental health that their families leave them. They said it's so nice to see that your brother has family, because we work with so many people who family don't want anything to do with them. And I have to say too, I have family who know what happened, of why my brother has mental illness. It's from, you know, uncovering his mother when she already passed, and she was, trigger warning, she was brutally beaten. And he uncovered that as a 13-year-old kid, and that is the cause of his mental health, that his mental diagnosis is. And my family knows that, and they still decide to, like, shun him or not fully understand. So it is a common thing that's still stigmatized, and because my brother's self-medicated, they think he's a drug user still. I'm like, no, he's not. Anywho, there's all these things around it, so I thought it was important to share. So I'm going to share some other stats, because you're not alone.
Really quick, Mary Kim, I just want to confirm a few things, because what I'm hearing, I'm not going to say it sounds devastating. I'm just going to say it sounds like a lot. Am I correct? How you said that your brother was dropped off to you? At what age was this?
I was, let's see.
She muted herself, and we can't hear her.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Go ahead.
It was his early 20s. I don't know what year, because I was just moved in with my boyfriend at the time, so 1920.
And how old were you?
I think I was 21.
Wow. Okay.
And so my brother's about a year older. So.
And pretty much someone said, take care of your brother.
Yeah, literally. And it were my guardian parents, and, you know, They found him walking from across the GW Bridge, if you know the area in Edgewater, with a huge painting, like mega big, this painting, and they picked him up, took him to the hospital. My parents were called, and, you know, they didn't know what to do, right? They'd never experienced that, and basically after his hospital stay, and because he was over 18, you're allowed, as an over 18-year-old adult, you're allowed to check yourself out of any hospital. And so my brother checked himself out, went home, and my parents just, like, literally dropped him off in, where was I living there? I was living in Jersey City, and said, he's your brother, take care of him.
Wow.
And so we lived on my living room floor, probably for, like, 6 months or so. But, yeah, it was a long time.
So
working with the doctors, they were amazing, because my brother is talented, he's super smart, he still is. But that's why he was diagnosed. So
I'm curious, Mary Kim, because I know a lot of people have family members in their family that have mental issues, and like you said, the average person will just toss the person aside or act like they didn't know, or say, well, I don't have room in my house. What was it that made, what made it, you say, I'm going to take care of my brother, I'm going to keep him in? What was that? What was it for you?
was my brother. I'm getting upset. Also he's my brother, and we lost our parents, right? And so, and I knew at that age, I knew that he saw her. He uncovered her. I was told that somewhere along the journey.
How old was he when this happened?
I'm sorry?
How old was your brother? You said he found your mother.
13.
And what happened again?
My birth dad had a dream and woke up, and he thought he was fighting someone off in his dream, apparently, and woke up, and he was hitting my mother.
And your brother found her.
Yeah, he uncovered her. She got really mostly damaged in her face. So that morning he lifted the sheets up because he saw, mom wasn't up, which my mom usually was the first one up. And we used our parents' bathroom because it was the one with the side of the house had all the bathrooms and the master suite and the master bedroom. And we used to use that getting up, so it was normal for us to go into that room to get ready, to go to the bathroom before we went to the other side of the house with the kitchen, and life happened on the other side of the house. And my brother that morning woke up, and the door was open a little, and he uncovered her. He just kept silent because he was told, something happens to us, you're the man of the house.
So was your brother fine before this happened? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because with mental illness, for some reason I thought you were born that way. And this just shows that it can be triggered by an event. Is that correct? Or
yes, my understanding, yes. So working with some of these doctors, they taught me so much. And yes, so you can have a chemical imbalance, and I could be phrasing some things wrong, but this is my understanding from years talking to these different doctors. You can have a chemical imbalance. But yes, a traumatic event, something that happens typically at a younger age. I mean, of course, it could happen when you're older, but typically at a younger age will have you be diagnosed in your early 20s for the most part, based on that traumatic event that you have a mental illness diagnosis.
And is this the same type of, I guess, chemical imbalance that goes with depression? I'm just curious.
I'm not sure, but I'm guessing it's part of the brain. My guess, I'm not an expert at all. I think, depression is a mental health diagnosis as well. So I think it's relatable or similar, but I'm not a doctor or professional.
Okay.
But yes, I think it's all related.
All right.
No, my brother beforehand, as far as I know, he's the genius of the family. He was born literally, I'm not even kidding you, at the age of 5, was drawing comic book characters that he created in his mind to details it looked like a professional comic book.
So the reason why the reason why I stopped you is because sometimes in life we just glaze over certain things that are traumatic, and I knew you were great, I knew you were amazing, but this just goes even deeper of how amazing you are. And just again, I'm picking up my grace rock here. I have this rock and it has grace on it, and many times in life we have to give ourselves grace and peace, and I'm just so proud of you. And thinking about, you said your son has Down syndrome, correct?
Yes.
And they say it all the time, and I hate this freaking saying, God's not going to give you more than you can handle. What are your thoughts on that saying? I'm just curious.
I hate that saying too, but I'm like, I've been joking with God, right? He knows me, he created me. And yeah, I do talk, I talk like it's like everyday thing, and I know it's trigger warning and it's deep, and it's not but I talk it like it's like, let's go out to the grocery store, because I'm so, not that I'm healed, but I've gone through that journey. So for me, I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And people are like, Mary, can you just slow down? What did you just say? So I don't take it lightly. I'm open to sharing, and I've gone through that process. So I have a different perspective, not perspective, but it should be time to breathe and all that stuff. But yeah, so yeah, I asked him, I'm like, really? Hello? I'm like,
Girl, I say it all the time. Years ago, I was like, I must be God's joke. But you know what? It's people like you, it's people like me that can get through almost anything. So when people get a flat tire or they're stuck in traffic and they're like frustrated and screaming, they can look at us and be like, oh, well, that flat tire is not that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's really helped me go through this life. And you know what it was really that I guess started it is because when all that took place, you know, all the adults around us just picked up life and life went on. You know, there was no discussion about, you know, do you want to see a therapist? You know, how do you really feel? And it wasn't part of the cultural way of talking to adults talking to kids, or even the adults may not have known about it, or maybe they grew up that it was stigmatized. No one talked about it, you know, at least in my world. And with that, I learned, like, you know, no matter what adversities come into your life, life goes on. You know, you still need to go to work, eat, celebrate life, birthdays, anniversaries, holidays. And I just lived and functioned that way after that. And it served me well until it didn't serve me well, and I had to do the work and all that stuff. But I lived my life that way. I picked up and just run it on and went along my day as that. So I kind of still have that mentality, but also learning at the early age of in my 20s about gratitude and morning rituals and how that really has allowed me to be who I am today. But also, I realized this year that journaling saved my life because it was the only place I felt safe to share. It was the only place that I felt that no one would judge me. It was my safe place. And so today I know for sure that saved my mental health.
I love
Mary
it.
Kim, do you know who suggested that you journal? Was it something that you just turned to and did, or did somebody suggest that you put your feelings down on paper?
I say I did it. No one in my adult life said do this, but, you know, I love those little diaries. You know, back in the day, they were so tiny with the double locks that broke. I always wanted them for my birthdays and stuff, and I think just me using it for I don't even know what. I think I just started. I don't remember anyone saying, like, oh, do this for that. It was just like, oh, cute, like girls with little diaries. So that's what started it. And then it just, you know, when my mom was no longer here on earth, I knew at that age I wanted to somehow tell my mom's story, because I still don't know who my Korean family is. I have a couple pictures that we recently got, because, you know, everyone that came to her house was a relative. You know, everyone was an aunt. So I'm like, well, who was really an aunt? Who was really a cousin? And, you know, I'm still trying to figure that out. So, yeah, I think it was just, you know, a girl being a girl writing like, oh, whatever silly stuff I used to write back in the day. And I just kind of utilized that as a teenager is where I really wrote more of my feelings and things like that and what was going on. And also what we did I had a group of girls and we had this notebook. So I think this just added to my journaling. And we would take this one notebook and I'd have it and I'd write in class a story. And I'd pass it to another girl during period changes. She'd take my story and she'd add to the story. And we'd have like 5 or 6 girls, you were teens at the time. But I wanted to keep, I have actually all the notebooks. I took them, they're in my garage. But like, I think that just escalated my writing and all that stuff. So I really think it was just me or God, really, because God maybe gave that
I love it. I'm going to do a quick little reset. You're echoing right now, Mary Kim. Not sure why. Ouch, ouch.
We had that little notebook too in school. Me and my girlfriends did the same.
I love it. So, guys, I'm going to do a quick little reset. If you didn't know, you're in the Fit, Healthy, and Blessed Club. We are here in the Clubhouse streets, also on YouTube. If you click the link at the top, you can see my face. Mary Kim is coming in and out with her cute little 2 braids. But today we're talking about mental health, Truthful Tuesday, and Mary Kim is just diving deeper into her story. And each week, she's unpacking a little bit more and a little bit more, just showing us how important it is to be empowered. At this point in time, we need some shares in the hallway, guys. We need some shares because today's topic, it may be trigger warning for some people, but I believe it's a way for you to realize that someone else has it worse than you do. That's how I see it. And it just kind of makes me feel like, well, you know what? Life isn't that bad. Colleen, welcome to the space. I see, I'm sorry, I put my glasses on. That might help me out. To Twana, welcome. I'm giving you a follow. Okay, I'm going to put my glasses on so I don't sound like a fool.
Okay. Hey, Tori. How you doing?
Oh, okay, Tori, is that his name? I see Aretha there. Colleen, do you have a comment or are you just up here for now? Would love to hear if you have something you want to share. If not, I'm going to toss it back to Mary Kim. Mary Kim's talking about mental health, and I interrupt her as she was sharing the story about her brother, how she took her brother in when he was in his 20s. Are you ready to continue? Oh, I hear someone on. Go ahead, Mary Kim.
I just wanted to suggest very gently and gingerly that we might want to refrain from saying people have it worse than us. People have it differently than us, right? So everybody has a different challenge and everybody deals with different challenges differently. So somebody might break a nail and go screaming and somebody else breaks a nail and says, okay, so let me just keep it moving. So you understand the distinction?
I love the distinction, yes. And again, it's all with playing and learning. So I totally agree with you. So if you'd like to repeat that, poor little Mary Kim over here, she's trying so hard. Other people have different situations and deal with them differently. Would you like to expand on that a little more, Carmel?
Yeah, just so that, if I were to go and say, oh, so this person has it worse off than me, they don't necessarily have it worse off because my situation is different, my challenges are different, and I wouldn't want anybody to feel badly about what it is that they're going through. And so I'm just coming from a place in that if somebody told me, oh, Carmela had this so much worse than me, I don't know how I would feel about that. So I'm just coming from a place of that.
Gotcha. It's amazing how much you sound like your sister. Because for a second I was like, is Kathy in the building? I get it. And I've had someone say that before. She feels bad sharing her story because she's like, she doesn't have a horrible story or a horrible life, so she feels bad. But like we said, what can be good for one person or different may be different for someone else. All right, Mary Kim, you can continue. I stopped her as she was speaking. You can continue, Mama.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I can hear myself. Okay. Carmel, I love that you shared that because it's true. It's true. We could not compare ourselves and our stories and our feelings on anyone else's experience because everyone's traumatic situation or adversity is there. And so whatever you're going through, I heard I should not feel.
I shouldn't feel so X, Y, and Z. That is, do not tell
yourself it's a lie. Definitely.
That's okay.
That's okay. Do not compare yourself. There's no comparison.
I love that you
share that, Carmel, because a lot of people say that in one of the resiliency and recovery I do on Wednesdays.
They say that
all the time. Like, oh, well, someone's first. Like, I should know. Your feelings are valid. Your experience is valid. Value them
at all.
Can you share the room that you do on Wednesdays in case someone wants to come there? Tell us what it's about. This is a clubhouse room that she does. I've been in there a couple times.
Yes,
it's on Wednesdays, 1 p.m. to about 3 p.m. Eastern in the Mentors Emotion Club, and it's trauma, abuse, and grief. We created open space where people can share their story, ask a question. It's an open space for people to just share what's on their heart. Because as a multi-abuse, I know that there may not be many spaces or any type of comfortable sharing your story, but getting it off your chest for recovery, for going through and healing yourself on that journey is so crucial. Don't record in that space.
We don't sales and there's no judgment. It's just a place to go and a community of words and be connected to experience very similar situations. We need to understand who's actually gone through something and just we get back only if you like us to get back. And we do it from a place of this is where we us do this. It's also something that we care how someone really good full support. And that's it. So about we do that.
Love it, love it. I see here there's some stuff in the back channel. Let me just read because we got some stuff going on back here. I see where Aretha says, I truly hate journaling, but I do give myself 12 minutes to write down my thoughts. Afterwards, ooh, I like that. I burn them to let them go. I always feel better. Aretha, I've never tried that before, the burning. I've heard about that a lot. But again, our health and mental health are one and the same. I like that right there. Aretha's coming out. Would love to hear from you, Mama. Share your thoughts on the topic. You raised your hand when Carmel made the statement, and I do apologize if I triggered by saying someone's got it worse than I do. But Aretha, Keith Tavor, Way, would love to hear from you, Mama.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Because we don't mean it quite. It's okay. I got this from, oh my God, I cannot remember her name. It's a movie star that just lost a whole lot of weight. And she used to be really blonde hair. Oh my God. I cannot remember her name. Anyway, she said in one of her Instagrams that she understood, which I understand, that a lot of my weight problems had to do with my history, my mental illness and problems that I haven't gotten over with yet. So being alone, I don't always have someone to talk to. So her doctor recommended that she write them down, take 12 minutes, and it's always 12 minutes. To write them down, say exactly what you want to say, curse, do whatever you need to do, but when you finish, even if you need to walk away from it, go back and have a ceremony to let it go. I'm telling you guys, that worked so well with me. I never, ever would have been able to even find Clubhouse had I not learned to do that. I was too far into feeling sorry for myself, like depression. So I found I'm in an apartment, so I couldn't go outside and burn something. So I actually took one of my old grease cans that was metal, from my kitchen, cleaned it out, and I made that my burn altar. So seriously, and I go in my bathroom, I cut the fan on because whatever smoke is released will go out. And
how often do you do this, Aretha?
Yes, and I have me a good old-fashioned burial of some things that I couldn't say to people that are dead now, or said to me in ways and I'll never be able to understand why they did it or whatever. And honey, I burn it. And it really does release it. I have no idea why, but it works.
How often do you do this?
Whenever something's on my mind and I can't, and it keeps coming up. Like I could watch a TV program and it keeps coming up. I'm like, no, stop. And I stop. Get my little book out.
Okay. Can I see some stars in the chat if anyone's ever done this before? I've never done it. I'd be burning a house on fire if I had to do this because I always got stuff going on. Put some stars in the chat if you've done this before. Rebel Wilson. All righty. Let's throw back to Mary Kim on this wonderful topic. I'm going to stop talking, Mary Kim. Just mute me if I say anything. Go ahead.
It's okay. I love that. I heard it personally. I've never done that.
because I save a lot of
all my
writings
posted.
So I literally have like two big boxes in my garage. But I know it's such a huge so congratulations to you because it's helped mom. So I'm so glad you do that. So to share additional like we just sacrifice. So I need to go over that.
Mary Kim, it sounds like you're going in and out. I'm not sure if it's just me. Guys, can you hear her clearly, or does it sound like she's going in and out? Say that again, Aretha.
In and out. I can't hear her.
Yeah, you're going in and out. I don't know if you want to talk from Clubhouse and then mute yourself on the screen, and then.
Yes, I'll do that. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
What was I saying? I'll say, like, oh, Aretha, I shared that, I'm so glad that you do that. I know it's a lot of healing, and a lot of people do that, so I just want to congratulate you for doing that. I have not done that because I'm like a journal hog, and I want to save all my writings, but I'm so proud of you for doing that. It's so important for us to utilize whatever tools that helps us go through our journey and help us, along our therapy and any facet that we decide to do that works for us. But besides the LGBTQ family, their annual rate of mental illness is 47.4%, which is the highest in the categories in the United States. There's a high percentage of children. So I'm sharing this because definitely tap into your kids, whether you're seeing them act or react differently, especially like they lived through a pandemic, right? And I'm saying this because it was about a year after the pandemic kind of like slowed down and it wasn't like everyday chaos. My son shared that he was having mentally, he was challenged through that time, but I'm so aware of how my kid functions. I didn't even know that because he was just showing up as himself and no change of behavior. So definitely tap into your youth. 1 out of 6 youth between the ages of 6 to 17 have mental health.
You're echoing. I don't know if you want to lower your volume on YouTube. That might help.
Okay.
By the way, you look really good, girl. Guys, if you're not on YouTube, you got to see her.
Now?
That's better, yes. You look good. I love it.
Okay. Wait, I can't hear anything.
You're good. You're good.
All right, cool. So 1 out of 6 youth between the ages of 6 to 17 are diagnosed with a mental illness. 50% of kids begin mental illness at the earliest age of 14, which is a lifetime of mental illness. Suicide is the second leading cause of death between ages 10 to 14 due to mental illness. And 75% of people are diagnosed with a lifetime of mental illness by the age of 24. I really, just from my own knowledge of how mental illness can take place, I really think that if we as adults teach other adults, teach our kids, and we end this generational behaviors that are so apparent in so many of our lives or the people that we know, that trauma, as we know better, we should do better. And I really believe eventually that we will have a world where we have a little bit of trauma going on in everyone's life, which trauma does cause a lot of mental illness. Not all, but just my opinion, my experience. So as we know better, we do better. Before I close out, I just thought it was really important to, like, if you know someone who's going through something or share something or you see something's off, NAMI, it's the National Alliance of Mental Illness. They're nationwide. Definitely tune into them. And then also your local department to help your friend. But I just wanted to share some words that are helpful to say to someone who's going through any kind of mental health situation or been diagnosed, or just shares like, listen, I'm not feeling well, and they open up to you. Sometimes you don't know what to say. So some words to say that may be helpful. Do you want to talk about it? And always come, if you're not open to really listening to them, to really caring what they have to say, then just guide them to a professional or a therapy or the NAMI organization versus you not being authentic. So do you want me to talk about it with you? Do you want to talk about it? What can I do to help you? That sounds very difficult. And then continue on, like, and say something that they shared. I'm really sorry you're going through this right now. Are you looking for a perspective, or would you like rather just for me to listen? And if you have an experience, just you could say, like, I know what you mean. I felt that before. Or, I could say as now, like, oh, my brother has gone through that, and this is what I learned. I understand, because they want to feel connected, and then that they are not the only ones going through this. And you can also say, like, I'm here for you if you need me. And just to have that open dialogue, because like I shared in the beginning, so many feel alone, or because the environment they may have grown up in, it was like, oh, we don't talk about that. Or maybe, they heard them talk about a neighbor, oh, they're crazy and blah, blah, blah. And so this word and these terms and these labels, we just have to change it and have this open space where people feel safe and they're not alone in any situation, especially mental illness.
I love it. I love it. So I want us to turn it now, Mary Kim, on how we can support people that have mental health issues. Like for you took in your brother. If we can come up with a few tips. If anyone has a question or a comment, you can raise your hand, ask Mary Kim. But yeah, I would like for us to spin it around. For example, my cousin, he has schizophrenia. And I remember leading up to the final diagnosis, and it's crazy how he wasn't, well, maybe he was, I don't know. I was going to say he was born that way, but it was like something, they believe something was put into his drink or something like that. And then over years, it just got worse and worse and worse. And some people can deal with it. I personally cannot. My daughter's amazing. She has the patience of like a god, but me, I'm just like, So I could use some tips here because I just leave. I just don't deal with it. And that's not good. I want to be better than that. So maybe you could give me some, like, for example, he'll wear like 10 t-shirts, just keeps putting on, and it could be like so hot outside. And they say it's like a feeling of comfort. And I just don't say anything anymore. Like he feels like he has to stay close to the house, doesn't like to leave the house. I have to make sure I'm back for my medicine. And then like going to the streets of New York and even in California, if anyone here has ever been to California, it's like so many homeless people. But I guess if I had to be in Florida, if I had to be homeless, well, heck, I'd rather be in Florida and California than New Jersey or New York where it's warm. So I'm always giving money like to the homeless. And like, well, you don't know where they're going to use it. So if you could give us some tips of how to support them, and that would be great.
Yeah, I'd love to. And I think a lot of people are migrating to California because there's some kind of law. I don't know if it's a law or a thing that in that community they can't take them away or something. They're able to like live and have these tents. Like it's some kind of thing that California is allowing. The best thing I could say is like, schizophrenia. If you don't know anything about it, it's paranoia. A lot of it's around paranoia. And my brother, he's medicated. He still has paranoia thoughts. But in the beginning, before he was diagnosed fully and before he was medicated, like literally we were at a restaurant. This is like one of the first experiences. We were at a restaurant and my brother thought the person behind him was talking about him, was really going to stab him with a knife from the table. And luckily, my brother had some self-awareness, and he was with myself and my sister, and he knew like something was off. Like I said, my brother is super smart, and he decided to run. So he ran from like, it was probably like 10 plus blocks from where we were to his home. And thank God, the police that we called were very good and trained and got my brother help. But it is a scary thing, and sometimes we don't know what to do because we're like never been in this situation. So my best advice is do not be judgmental. Understand what they may say and share may not make sense to you. I would not debate someone with mental illness, especially schizophrenia, when they're going through all their paranoia stuff. I would just like listen and just tune in. Have patience. Get them the tools what they need and use some of those sentences I shared earlier, and just understand that because they have a mental illness, they don't have the full capacity or control of their mind. And so sometimes they truly believe whatever's going on in
We lost you, Mary Kim.
I still like tell my brother, like, no, that's not true. You know, trying to like understand like reality and not reality. And it doesn't really serve me well. So I just kind of like, okay, I understand, you know, because he just needs to get it out. But just, you know, do research too. If it's your loved one, you know, talk to a professional, do your research, and just be supportive and just let them know that you're there. Even if you don't have all the answers, they just need to be seen and heard, just like all of us.
Well, Mary Kim, I'm just super proud of you that you took your brother in, that you went that extra mile, because like you said, New York has many streets of people that just, aren't doing anything. Chris came up. Chris, would love to hear. Do you have a comment, question, concern?
I have all three.
Ha! Love it.
I've got a situation. This is so serendipitous that we're talking about this because I live in the city in St. Louis, so there's homeless people everywhere. We have a picnic table in a little roundabout across the street from our unit. And there's been a woman there that has been out there. She was out there one day, and she had spent the night there, obviously, and I had just taken a water bottle out there and some nuts, and it was just to set it on the picnic table next to her so she had something when she woke up. And she kind of woke up, or I kind of accidentally woke her up. So I talked to her. Her name's Josiah, and she says she's waiting to get into an apartment. And this happened before with a gentleman I got to know. It took him months to get an apartment. He was out there all the time. And apparently she doesn't have a shelter to go to at night, but there's places you can go for the daytime. But she's out there. It's raining. I'm in my heart going, I need to bring her into my home. I don't know what to do. It's just killing me, you guys. I need some advice on how to help her. I am going to go out there in a minute and just talk to her and hear her story, but it looks like she's still sleeping. And it is kind of dirty out. So anybody want to feed into me? Tell me what to do.
I love that, Chris. Thank you. I mean, my suggestion, I would just, if you've had a dialogue with her, just, I would ask her, what can I do to help you?
I will do that.
And just see what she says. And just be open to, I don't know her mental state. Sometimes two people may not be, they may just be homeless for many reasons. But if they have the mental, you'll be able to tell in their dialogue and how they talk too, if they do definitely have a mental diagnosis. But I would start there and then tune into what they say, and just go from there. That would be my first step.
Renee, are you unmiking to share? Renee? Are you unmiking to share, Renee? Okay, maybe she can't hear me. I thought she was trying to say something. Maybe she's not.
I did talk to her that first time, and I just said, what can I do to help you? And she's like, nothing, I'm waiting to get into an apartment. And she seemed very sweet. So I'm going to go, kind of assess her situation a little bit more. And I just ask that you guys pray for me while I do it. I'm going to go out and about. I'm going to let her sleep, but I'm going to go out and...
How did you say you know this lady, Chris?
She's just across the street. I can see her out my window. We have this, we're at a dead-end street, and we have this little table area that people use, like a community thing, and she's out there and just sleeping at the picnic table. And she's out there about a week ago, and then I haven't seen her, so I thought, oh, good, she got her apartment. But I see her out there this morning, and it just breaks my heart. So,
well, you know what? I say this because I remember when I was living in Rahway, I would always go running and walking, and I saw this girl, and she used to babysit my kids when they were younger. So probably was like 15 years, and I saw her with like one of those carts, and it looked like she had all her clothes in it, which, I'm assuming she was homeless. And I'm not saying that I was scared to talk to her. Like, I spoke to her once, and she was just so nasty. And sometimes I guess they get to this point where, I don't know, they just block everyone off. I see Mary Kim nodding her head like she can add to the conversation, because it's like, do you say anything to them? And then you don't want to say them, because then it's like, I don't like saying them because they're humans. They're just like us. Go ahead, Mary Kim, if she's got something to say.
Yeah, a lot of times, and this is just from my experience, if they're living on the streets, depending on the weather, they will use some kind of substance, like drink alcohol to keep them warm. they may use drugs to keep them surviving, or self-medicating. And so if you see them in a rage state, your best bet is just to go the other way, because they're not mentally stable, right? And anything can trigger them to attack you. You don't want to put yourself in that space. I would just, if they're in that state, just kind of you don't need to make eye contact. You're not putting them down, but just walk away, because you don't know what's going on or what tools they may have. And they may not be medicated too. So they're in this whole state of, and you have to think of this way. I think of that. Imagine one day you wake up and you literally have no control of your mind. You're getting all these thoughts, and you think that you're talking to yourself in your head, but it's not, because it's talking about all these things. You have no control of your mind. How lost would you be? How scared would you be?
Love it. Ashley, would you like to pour into the conversation? We're nearing the top of the hour. Would you like to? She's like, no. I get your girlfriend. Because she's a little like that. I'm joking. But it's all fun. Pretty much, I guess you can just give us a final recap, Mary Kim, and then if you're able to share, Ashley, what you want to share tomorrow, and we'll be good to go.
I would just say that if you know someone or you don't know someone who is diagnosed with mental illness, just always be patient, be understanding and non-judgmental, because there's so many reasons why someone could be in that place. And because they don't have control of their mind fully, just if you're a friend, or just be supportive the best way you can. How can I help you? I'm here for you if you need to talk. And just be non-judgmental. It's really, that's the biggest stigma. And there's also not believing what they're saying. A lot of that gets talked about, and just we have to break that stigma, just like with anything else, mental illness as well. So just, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything, and just be supportive, non-judgmental. That's really kind of the guidelines.
And I want you to share your Wednesday. And I want you to share your Wednesday room again for anyone who's listening on the replays that may be interested.
Okay, yeah, sure. So on Wednesdays, I post a room on Clubhouse in Mentors in Motion, 1 p.m. Eastern to about 3 p.m. Eastern. We usually let it wind down as it goes. And it's an open space where, popcorn style, you could share with trauma, abuse, and grief. And we built it as a safe space to share a place of healing and connecting with other people. And anyone who chimes in is coming from a place of, this is what I know what you're going through, and this is what I use to help. Because sometimes we do feel alone in our situations, and we don't have anyone to talk to. I have great friends, but some of them have not gone through what I went through, thank goodness. So having this space is so important, because I know it's so important for us along our journey of healing. That's the first step, is to talk about it. And we don't record in that space. There are no sales or judgment. So it's really a safe space. And I only say it's a place of healing because people have shared that with us, that they've healed in our space, they've grown, and it's just so amazing. We've done it for a little over a year, and so watching and hearing people's journey through their process and where they were when they first spoke to where they are today, it's really just so grateful to open that space. But yeah, so tap in Wednesday. If you want to check us out, definitely stay in the lounge. We won't pull you up. Of course, you can come up, but yeah, it's really been a really great space. Just so grateful to have it.
Thank you. And I just want to say, guys, just remember that this is entertainment, edutainment, whatever you want to call it. We're not doctors. If you want to, we suggest that, if you do see a therapist or someone like that. Ash, did you want to share with us a goodbye before we get out of here, girlfriend?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Remember, and if no one's, I love you.
She said she loves us. That's all I could hear. She's breaking up. I don't know if she needs earphones or what. But guys, thank you all for rolling through. I am Stars Tina. We're out of here in 5, 4, 3, 2. You are all number 1. See you tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Bye.
Thank you, ciao.
Bye. I guess I should end the screen over here.